Hello, Canada and the rest of the world. Coming to you from Bauhaus Studios in beautiful downtown Port Credit, it's the Tom and Rick Show for Wednesday, November 18th. On tonight's show, musician Matt Zaddy, music entrepreneur Rob Wilson, from the Mississauga Symphony Orchestra, Maestro Dennis Mastromonaco. Joining us for Eating Port Credit from Huevos Gourmet, Gerardo and Carlos. And also tonight, Cooking with Carson. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are your hosts, Tom Barlow and Rickford Van Dyke.
Oh, sorry guys. I need my spectacles.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Tom and Rick Show, a special edition because we get to do it from here.
That's
Rick,
correct.
how are you?
How are you doing, man?
Well, it was a little bit stressful this week, but we got everything worked out. As you know, new restrictions came in that said you cannot have anyone in your home who does not live in your home. Mm-hmm. And we thought, what are we going to do? We're going to have to find a patio. We're going to have to find a field somewhere to somehow figure out this show.
Yep.
And then Mark, who's our video director, said, you know what? My wife Sabrina thinks you may be able to do this as a film set.
She works in the film industry.
She works. She works for U of T, but manages the film shoots that happen there. Mm-hmm. So I sent a text out to Stephen Dasco, our city councillor. He was in a city council meeting. Forwarded my text to his assistant Angie Dell. Angie Dell reached out to Lisa Tolieo, I hope I pronounced that correctly, at the Mississauga Film Office. From there, we were connected to Corey Poole at the Mississauga Music Development Coordinator. Mm-hmm. Wow, there's a lot of things happened.
A lot of things there.
And eventually we got this, and I'm just going to read it so we all know how this happened. In regards to COVID concerns, with the understanding that gathering numbers have decreased as part of modified stage 2 and red zone level in Peel Region, please note the new restrictions do not directly affect film productions. As per Kevin Finnerty, Assistant Deputy Minister, Heritage, Tourism and Culture, when a film set operates as a workplace, the limits for organized public events and social gatherings under Ontario Regulation 263-20 would not apply. And one more thing about Corey, he added at the end, as an aside, I'm a big fan of the Tom and Rick Show.
Well, thank you, Corey.
So all of those pieces were set in motion that allowed us to do this, and we're just thankful to everyone at the city who took the time and expedited that so that we could bring this program to you today.
Yeah, that's really great. We didn't have to move the location, which of course everybody knows is getting colder by the day. And moving this whole thing with the lights and everything, I mean, we could have done it, but you know, without these people, we have to stay here, and we're serving a community, a music community, and we would like to do it from here, you know?
So they really bailed us out. Now, usually at this point, we'd say, this is what's happening for live music this week.
Nothing's happening, but on the show today, we have a lot of emerging artists and upcoming, or some people you know, and they're doing a lot of live streams. Like, this is going to be the new thing going forward for, I don't know how long, 14 days, 28 days, but somebody's trying to do something about Mississauga, the symphony. They're going to do a live stream as well.
Right.
If you could, anybody that's doing a live stream, you could just maybe do a donation and help them out, because nobody's working. And a lot of these people, they're doing it for free, you know. I mean, yeah, we like to give,
right,
but, you know, if you could help them out with anything, I mean, this is what those guys that we talk to later on the program, this is what they do for a living. So if you can help them out in any way, a donation, please do so.
Yeah, and maybe think of it as, you know, if I were to go to a night out at the bar, I'm going to have a couple of beers or a couple of drinks, I'm going to eat some food, I'm going to spend $80. We're not saying you have to chip $80 to a live stream, but open up a beer at home and maybe
throw a 20.
Flip a few bucks to these artists who are trying to figure out a way to survive and keep music flowing in the industry. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're glad to be here. We thank everyone involved with keeping us here. We thank all of the crew here today.
Which are all masked all the time, by the way. And all our guests come in and it's all COVID safe.
We are keeping it COVID clean. I look forward to this show. I think it's going to be a really great one, Rick, and we will be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Very excited about our first guest this evening. His name is Matt Zadie. Matt Zadie?
Zadie.
Zadie. Matt Zadie, I stand corrected. He is the 2017 winner of the Mississauga Arts Council Award for Best Acoustic Artist, 2019 Mississauga Award for Best Promoter, and fresh off the presses, we have found out, I think just last week, or this week?
Last week,
that he is the winner of Album of the Year for 2020 for the Mississauga Arts Council.
Mississauga Music Awards.
Mississauga Music Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a very busy man. You have like music projects, you have community music projects, you have all kinds of stuff going on. Tell us, maybe take us back a little bit. It's pre-COVID. You're a singer-songwriter. You're working on your music projects, and the word comes down. Your shows have to be canceled. How did you manage the beginning of COVID through to now?
It was a process. When it started, I mean, it was right around Paddy's Day, and I do a lot of the Irish stuff, so I was full right then. The week after that, I had a big theater gig in Eastern Ontario, and then I had stuff lined up, like most of us, festivals lined up, private club gigs lined up, till now, literally. When it first happened, I remember because I was corresponding with Cucullins and Streetsville because I do their Paddy's Day stuff, and I got the word the day before that it was a no-go. I said, okay. So we were all watching everything like everybody else was, and essentially I went from playing 3 to 5 days a week and teaching, I think at the time I was teaching 25 to 30 students a week, to just having those students. Some of them were my own and some of them were through a music school. So I basically said, okay, well, what can I do now to try to figure this out? So I said, well, the first thing I wanted to do was I knew that everybody was going to need something to kind of get behind. So I said, okay, I've been doing this open mic of mine in person for 10 years in Streetsville. How can I do that online? So I did as much homework as I could, and I found that the best way for me to do it was to do it on Zoom. So it started out a little less production, and as time went on, I've been able to build it up into more, where I'm using like an HD camera and an interface, and the audio sound quality is much better. So that was the first thing I did. The second thing I did was I said, okay, I better ramp up my teaching, because if I can't gig,
you got to make money.
I got to make money. So I'm sitting right now roughly around between 45 and 50 students a week.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
wow.
no, it's
that's great.
Well, it's interesting. We had Randy Cook, world famous drummer, drums for Mick Jagger and Ringo and so on. And he said, he's a guy who was playing arenas the week before. He said, well, I'm into teaching now.
Yeah.
That seems to be the path a lot of people are going.
Yeah.
But you were saying, I'm sorry to back up a little bit, but you were saying that you were doing an open mic, and then you go do it online at home, and then you bought things for it. But how do we monetize that show? Like, do you think that people would pay for that, or you just did it for free, or?
I've done it as my giving back.
Okay, giving back.
I have done a donation thing, which was brought in a little bit of money, but now I am seeking sponsorships for it to try to cover the bottom line.
Because we do have to monetize.
Yeah,
we can't
100%.
do things for free. You know what I mean? It's hard to do, and I don't know how we're going to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good to be said.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, it's one of those things that I wanted it to be a community event because and I can speak from people actually saying it on the show. It's been very good for everybody's mental health, especially those who are in a great deal of isolation. I'm married. I had my partner with me, so Heather and I were great. We were fine comparatively. I mean, obviously, everybody, it's taken its toll on everyone. But I have friends of mine that live alone that had no contact, and they said the most contact they had in a week was that open mic.
Well,
so that to me was that. But yes,
Very cool.
So monetizing it has been difficult. I am now seeking sponsorships on it because I have been able to do that with other shows I've done. Like I've partnered with the Mississauga Arts Council on some things. I've partnered with the Rose Theatre in Brampton. A handful of companies have partnered with me. Like I've done some work with Nurse Next Door Mississauga. They've been really good about sponsoring some of the work I do.
Someone's ears might have perked up who's watching at home. They go, ooh, open mic. How do they find that? How do the viewers find what you're doing?
Sure. I hashtagged it the Together at Home open mic. If you search Together at Home open mic on Facebook, you'll find it instantly. There's been 6 months worth of almost every week I've done the event, so you'll find it there for sure. If you were to contact me, I'll be happy to give you all the information. I am going to be setting up its own website for it just because it looks like it's going to be something I'll be doing for probably the next year.
And how do people contact you directly?
info@mattzadie.com.
Awesome, and we'll put that on the bottom of the screen. Now, when we spoke on the phone, you were saying you have a bunch of stuff coming up.
That's right.
Take us through what's going on. So you COVID hits, you lose all your gigs like we all did. You keep the open mic going, and you make that a better production. But now you've got other stuff coming up.
Yeah, I've been working on a YouTube series with the Guitar Shop in Port Credit, doing tutorial videos, but with montagey slapstick kind of humor.
Yeah, Rick was
Seen it,
actually
yeah.
telling me about it earlier today.
I've seen the one I was watching. He's just like, well, the reason you're not getting better, sort of, is you're not practicing. You know, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, wait, that's me. You know,
That's all of us, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, I did one that was on practice tips. I did another one that was on how to shoot better videos from your phone, and then I walked people through my own setup. I have another one that's going to be coming out soon that's on 4 chord changes.
Right.
And I'm just doing, general music interest stuff,
That
but
seems
educational.
so practical because everyone's shooting on their phone right now. I think that's really great.
Thanks.
Now, primarily, what you are though is a creator of music.
That's right. Yeah.
And you've put out 2 albums now.
I put out 2 albums as a singer-songwriter. Prior to that, I had 3 or 4 releases as part of a tech death metal band that I was in.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see that coming.
How come that wasn't in the Google when I was looking you up?
Is this where the
If you
jazz
type in
comes in?
Zaddy, some stuff does come up. I was in a band called Starring Janet Lee that was signed with a sublabel of Metal Blade called Ironclad. We did tours all over North America and all over Canada. It was like 20th century classical mixed with machine guns, basically,
Love it.
with a little bit of jazz.
Love it.
Well, I know you're going to be doing a song for us. I have a feeling it won't be in that idiom.
No, not at all.
No machine guns. No machine guns.
Tell us about the song you're going to play.
Sure. This is one of my favorite songs off my last record, which came out about a year ago now that I just won the Mississauga Music Award for. The song's called A Dear Friend. I found that in the last number of years, I mean, in general, I tend to be a workhorse. That's just how I deal with life.
Right.
And a lot of my closest friends were people I used to tour with when I was younger, and not all of them are doing music full-time anymore. And I don't see my friends or my family as much as I would like. So the song for me is very much a reminder and an affirmation to make time for the people that I care about. And it's one of those things that I don't know what it is about my writing, but so much of it seems to make sense during COVID. Like, right prior to COVID, I released another song that was talking about mental health, and then look where we ended up. And this one is very much about making time for the people that you care about.
Excellent. And this song is called
A Dear Friend.
A Dear Friend from the upcoming single.
Yeah, I'm gonna be putting out a video for this guy very soon, and this is kind of like my celebration of the 1-year anniversary of the album.
Okay, excited to hear it.
All right, here we go. Sentimental me shows up at times I least expect. Thoughts and words and deeds, or in a sermon I forget. I'm trying not to take it all for granted, haven't yet. Who'd have thought we'd be without regret? And I know sometimes I can't recall exactly what was said. A simple phrase that I said to a dear friend. And I hope you know I cherish all the years and times we spent. And you know that I still miss you and the world that we have shared. And I'm sure you know I wish you all the best of life ahead, and that you'll still be here with me in the end. Though we don't see each other as often as we'd guessed, life being the way it is, who has time for friends? When we are together, it feels like no time has passed. We can pick up right there where we left. And I know sometimes amidst it all, I falter and forget. Simple phrase that I said to a dear friend. And I hope you know I cherish all the years and times we've spent. And you know that I still miss you and the world that we have shared. And I'm sure you know I wish you all the best life ahead, and that you'll still be here in the end. forget you and all the times we've had. And maybe someday soon I will see you again. If we don't, you're in my heart and I'm in yours, I bet. Simple phrase that I said to a friend. Do my best to see you. Do my best to see you. Do my best to see you, dear friend. And I hope you know I cherish all the years and times we spent. And you know that I still miss you and the world that we have shared. And I'm sure you know I wish you all the best life ahead. And that you'll still be here with me in the end. In the end, in the end, in the end.
Cool.
Really beautiful.
Nice.
very much.
Very nice.
job.
Very Harry Chapin to me.
Cool.
In that storytelling kind of folky way. Wow, that was really great.
Thanks, man.
And that single will be out soonish.
Soonish. Yeah, just working on the video end.
Now, before we have to let you go, tell us about River North.
River North is a duo I have with my partner Heather Christine. It's like a folk duo. We recently released a song called "This Too Shall Pass," which was inspired by by actually a poem written by Heather's parents, and it made us kind of reflect on what they were going through and what we were going through with this, and trying to look at it in a positive way that we're going to be able to come out. And this isn't the first time humanity has had to deal with a pandemic. We're going to get through it. It's up on all of the all of the streaming sites.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. And it's been good. We just hit 1,000 views the other day, so that's nice. So it is getting some views, which is nice. It's got on a handful of playlists, which have been bumping the numbers a bit, which is nice.
Cool.
Excellent. Now our next guest from Cats Cove Media,
Rob Wilson.
Rob Wilson.
Yeah.
He and you have a partnership. Just before we go,
Sure.
tell us about that.
Yeah, Rob and I have been working together on events for, I guess, about a year and a half. He's a great guy, hard worker, really, really good at putting on live events, and he cares. He really does care. Like, we have that show on the 26th of November, 7 o'clock, through the Mississauga Arts Council in Cats Cove. I think it's called Saga Music Now. It's myself with the full band, the Mess Around, and One in the Chamber.
November 26th.
6th. November 26th, 7
7
p.m.
o'clock.
Thursday, November 26th.
Great. Well, thank you very much for bringing that beautiful song to us today. And thanks for all the work you're doing in the community. We all really appreciate it. Please check this gentleman out. He is a very talented, hardworking, and soulful person. Artist, entrepreneur,
Very kind.
organizer.
There's so many things.
It's a lot of
There's
hats.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we will be right back.
Welcome back.
That was perfect. Just like we rehearsed it. Did you see me going, or did you just happen to do it at that time?
I can see you in the TV.
No.
All right.
Okay. Well, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with an announcement that our audio producer, Les Weller, has been very busy this week and has created a YouTube page where you can go back and see all of the previous episodes. And that is The Tom and Rick Show. If you Google search or YouTube search The Tom and Rick Show, you
On
will
YouTube.
On
for-
YouTube.
For you to see and
Yes.
enjoy.
You could go back to that, maybe that artist that you wanted to tell your friends about. This guy was really great, or this woman
Or
was
that
really
part
great.
was really funny, whatever Rick said.
Yes. And we also have these, ladies and gentlemen. We've been bragging about these. Everyone seems to really love them. Is that looks good?
Yeah.
These are the Tom and Rick Show cups. I have mine personalized.
You
If
can't get them personalized though, folks. These are just for staff.
Yeah.
They'll just say this on both sides.
unless you want to pay the $300.
300.
And
well,
then you get it personalized. Otherwise, I think
Otherwise,
it's
yeah.
like $15 or something. Is that? what
yeah,
it is?
we don't know yet, but
Something like that.
We're gonna get 'em.
$20. $20
gonna-
makes an excellent Christmas present for someone who likes strange Christmas presents. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back. Welcome back, my friends. Our next guest is very active in the Mississauga arts music community. He wears a lot of hats in the business. He is an audio engineer. He does music production, editing, mixing, mastering, publishing. He does artist management, organizes, back in the before times, manages, puts on artist showcases. His company is called Cats Cove Media. Welcome to the show, Rob Wilson. Rob, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
That is
Good,
a
man.
lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You are busy. Tell us about Cats Cove Media, your vision, and what you do.
Sure. Well, it started with me as a musician, and I was looking to ways of just how do I pay my bills while working in the music industry, really. And that turned into a bunch of things because, as you guys know, this is a tough industry to be in.
Especially now.
Yeah, especially now. Yeah. And so I was looking at, how can I survive doing music as a full-time job? And that turned into just doing everything in the industry, really. So I started working with artists. I went to Metalworks here in Mississauga for audio production engineering to learn how to do that side, be on that side of the glass. And it just has sort of evolved. It's sort of taken me on a ride. I haven't really been in charge of where I've been. It's just sort of brought me to where I am,
Right.
Yeah.
And I've noticed you've produced and worked with quite a few bands.
Yep.
When a band approaches you, because we have a lot of emerging artists, up-and-coming artists that watch the show, what makes you say, I'm going to work with this band, I'm going to invest my time, energy, and expertise in them, and maybe not this band over here? What are you looking for?
On contrary to what people would think, they think it's just talent or it's just skill, but it's really not. Skill and talent are important, but work ethic is one major thing. How seriously they're taking music and themselves. There are a lot of people who have come to me and said, I have the budget. Let's go in and do this project. It's like, sure, but what are you doing it for? And a lot of people just do, it's just a hobby. I like doing it for fun, and it's like, it's not really. For me, that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in doing this long term and making a career out of it and working with career musicians. So that's a really big thing for me is how seriously are they taking this?
Well, it's very interesting. I was speaking with a very successful producer a few weeks ago, and he said, I just can't do it anymore. These guys will throw a bunch of money at me, but it's just one of many hobbies for them.
Yeah.
But it's tough to say no to money in this business that
Yeah.
has none in it, right?
Yep.
So good on you for doing that. Now, speaking of the many things you're doing, one of them is this Mac Saga Music Now, which is a digital concert.
Yes.
Tell us about that project.
Well, it streams live on Mac's Facebook and YouTube page next Thursday.
And that's the Mississauga Arts Council.
Yes, yeah. At 7 o'clock next Thursday. There are 3 bands involved. I know you guys just had Zaddy on.
Right, yeah.
So he's sort of our headliner, and he's awesome. Everyone loves him. On top of him, we have The Mess Around and One in the Chamber, both Mississauga-based bands. That's the whole point of Saga Music Now, is we want to be expanding Mississauga-based bands' audience and grow their audience. And the great thing about doing it online is that it can be worldwide. It's not just in the city. It's not a local show anymore. Sure. It's the entire internet, which is the whole world. So it's great, yeah.
Right, and tell us about your partner. I know that you and Matt have worked on some stuff together. How did you guys meet up? How did these sort of synergies happen here?
I'm pretty sure I've known Matt for a few years now. I think I met him at an open mic, one of the open mics he was
Oh,
running.
you weren't in his death metal band he was talking
No,
about that had
no.
slightly jazz?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in a tech death metal band,
this
right?
Tech death metal.
I'm sorry, it's stuck in my head.
Of course it is, because it's weird.
You would never
Yeah.
guess it.
No.
But I mean, he's an
Sorry.
amazing guitar player, so I'm not
Yeah, he
surprised.
is.
He's
He is,
very
yeah.
skilled.
Very skilled.
But yeah, we met at an open mic years ago. I was working with an artist who I think introduced me to him, and we have just been talking ever since. And back in the golden days of people being allowed to see each other, I was running events and organizing shows that way. So that's how we started sort of working together.
Right,
Yeah.
and so you have this this showcase coming up. What else do you have going on with your company? I think there's some new singles coming out with the artists you're working on.
Yep. So I'm working with another artist called Dear Father from BC. He lived in Toronto last year, which is how we met and got to know each other. And I produced his full record, which is actually coming out next Friday, the day after Saga Music Now. And yeah, that's sort of the big focus right now on top of this project is his LP and promoting it, making sure it goes well. On top of that, outside of the company, I'm also a film and video game composer, so I'm working on a few projects there. And
Wow, how does that work? How do you become a video game composer?
just begging for jobs mostly. Please, I'll write your music. Yeah, it's just trying to, a lot of networking, which I know sounds
And
cliche,
they
but
say, this is a video game, we want this kind of vibe, and you like sit at a piano or guitar and just try to make
Yeah.
a soundtrack to it?
yeah,
No singer, soundtrack.
right?
right.
No singer,
Yeah,
soundtrack.
I love it.
You just start playing.
Instrumental, yeah. Just trying to get some sort of emotional response with music, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you do it with, like, do you see something in your head, or do you make the music and then they fit it to it, or do you see
It depends on the
a
project.
landscape and then write?
Depends on the project.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a film, more often than not, they'll send me like a rough cut, and I'll go off that. And the director will usually say, like, here's some music that I think would work, but it's obviously not original music, and so you just sort of work with that vibe. And
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Right.
cool.
Very cool. Anything else you want to tell us about of the dozen hats you wear here?
oh gosh, I wouldn't even know where to start, honestly.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? If people don't know where to start, where can they find you online so they can look it up?
You can go to the company social media pages, so it's just at Cats Cove Media on Facebook and Instagram. We have a Twitter account, but we don't use it that much, sorry. I have some personal social media as well, Rob_J_Wilson on Instagram, I think, and then I have a public Facebook page as well. Go to the website, www.catscovemedia.com. You can find out all the work that the company is doing there.
Right.
Cool.
I think that's it.
Okay, well, it was a great pleasure having you. Please go to www.catscovemedia.com.
Yep.
You can get all the information on Rob's many projects. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for all the work you're doing, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You may have noticed that I've put a velour jacket on.
Looks very dashing.
Why, do you ask? Well, we have our very first maestro on the show. We have Dennis Mastro Monaco. He has worked with the Royal Opera Canada, National Academy Orchestra, the West Bohemian Symphony Orchestra. He is currently the music director of the Mississauga Symphony Orchestra. Welcome, Maestro Dennis. Do we call you Maestro Dennis? Or
Sure, why not?
I think I never get to
Highness.
say that, so I'd like to do it.
Thanks for having me.
Now, wonderful to have you on. Such a wonderful to have this much diversity,
Yeah.
and I think it goes to show the Mississauga community such a musically, artistically diverse society we have here. For those of people at home, including me, what does a maestro of a symphony orchestra do?
So on the surface, we wave our arms around.
Right.
That's what the audience thinks, and somehow music is made. Most of the work is behind the scenes, in rehearsals, right? So we take the time to rehearse the orchestra, we stop, we talk to them, we guide them obviously musically. They bring their skills as instrumentalists, and we give the recreation. We're recreationists, really. We're not creating music from scratch. We're trying to interpret what's on the page and get it out to the audience. And on top of it, conductors or maestros, again, we do a lot more than just wave our arms around. As music directors, we're building the orchestra and getting out, as I am here, in the community,
Right.
and out meeting people and trying to find the next best musician for us.
And you know, Rick and I are band leaders. Our experiences, we're on stage sometimes, and you know, the bass player is just too damn loud, or the drummer is speeding
Our
up.
hand movements are
And-
quite different.
And we have to be, you know, we're doing this, or I'll give you this. Tell us about, because you know, we've all seen the conductors, the maestros, and there's a little bit of this and all of this. What is going on there?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, directions are obvious when you're
Right.
bringing them down. Quiet, softer, shorter. What the audience doesn't see, because tend to see my back most of the time, is me frowning at them, kind of, you know, when your eyebrow goes up, and that's enough to tell them, uh-oh.
So you're dynamically mixing them, as for what I can see, is dynamically mixing sections and timing.
In the
When
moment.
This thing is going like this. This is metronome, and then and then you're not loud enough. And
I'd like to see a brain scan of what's going on there,
Yeah.
because you said up to 100 people in the orchestra,
Yes,
100 moving parts.
yes.
That's
So he has all the music in front of him, and the musicians only have their pieces in front of them.
Right.
So he's got to conduct the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
man.
That's a lot, man.
Now, we have been discussing, you know, what can artists do, and we have a lot of artists who are doing live streams. They're trying to develop revenue models to make it make sense. They're focusing on writing and so on. It obviously is not something you can throw to get 100 people. Just to get a room that holds 100 people. Never mind the technology to have cameras and microphones and all that stuff. How is your genre of music coping with this new lockdown reality?
To be honest, it's been decimated. I mean, the symphony orchestra concept plays music that's designed for large ensembles. We simply can't put a large ensemble together. So you're already limited by the repertoire you can play. So right now the cap is, say, 50 musicians. Socially distanced, first finding a location that can hold socially distanced 50 musicians.
50 people 6 feet apart equals what? What venue?
Well, yeah, and luckily, the Mississauga Symphony, we have access to Hammerson Hall at the Living Arts Center.
Right.
So we're on stage for rehearsals, and we're socially distanced, and we have plastic partition screens for our winds and brass, and we're able to hold up the space and restrictions that we have. With the decimation of the industry, it's made it that professional orchestras simply can't afford to put on a concert for zero audience, as is our case. We make our revenue from selling tickets, and when you can't sell tickets, it's really hard to make that up. And we're not talking, a few $1,000s. An average show is very costly.
Right.
Because there's 100 people in it.
Yeah, so you have your professional musician costs, tech costs, theater
Yes,
costs,
yeah.
rental, staff, and it's almost impossible to make it up purely from live stream. You need live ticket revenue. And when you don't have it, you're looking for donation sponsorship. So the industry has really taken a hit.
And are you in a situation where you can say to government representatives, look, we, like other industries are, the restaurant business, the airline business, most major industries are saying, we're in lockdown through no fault of our own. We're going to need support. Is there that kind of relationship with government to give your industry support?
Yeah.
Well, broad spectrum, nationally, the different coalitions, the unions, the musicians' unions across the country have been fighting on behalf of musicians. And there has been support. It's large-scale support in general, support to the arts. There's nothing specific that we can say. I mean, we fall under the same thing as the wage subsidy programs or the CRB.
Sure.
Nothing that we can simply go and say, we specifically need help to do this, especially in our case as a community orchestra, makes it twice as challenging.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's so overwhelming. Rick and I have been able to do some gigs because we can pare down to a duo.
Yes.
We can pare down to a solo.
Which
we
we
can't
have.
pare down 100 people to a couple of
Right.
you can't make a symphony a small thing or it's not a symphony.
No, exactly.
Now, you do have a live event, and we want to make sure we get as many people to tune into that as possible.
Yeah.
November 28th, you have your live stream, and where can people find that?
So a link will be on our website, mississaugasymphony.ca, and through our Facebook page. It's going to be 8 p.m. in Hammerson Hall at the Living Arts Center, and it's a program that features all Beethoven. It's the 250th anniversary of his birth, a huge celebration for classical musicians. We consider him the hero of classical music.
And others, too.
And others. So special concert, and our first one in over 8 months.
Wow,
Well, that's great
That's
that
very
you're
exciting.
playing again, and I hope people tune into it and support this
Yes.
support this music as well, and not just us, but this thing too. It's important.
I think it's important that we all support it. I know I'll be tuning in. Now, just because there is such a sort of mystique around orchestras, classical music, maestros such as yourself, what's like a misconception that maybe you would say people have?
I think perhaps it may sound arrogant, and I don't want to insult anyone, but we consider classical music entertainment. I give an example. The Mississauga Symphony has a youth orchestra. It's a 165-member youth orchestra, different than the MSO. And many say, youth aren't interested in classical music. Right. I think that's damaging. In fact, it's sort of like if you were to feed someone and you give them pizza and wings. Well, we love pizza and wings. That's sort of the treat.
Right.
Just like musical entertainment. But there's nothing wrong with thinly grilled chicken and steamed vegetables.
Right.
And you can't have pizza and wings all the time.
Right.
But we consider classical music entertainment. It's not. It's not. In fact, I'll tell you, people say, what do you listen to in the car? I listen to salsa. I listen to 80s pop. because I'm an 80s kid, right?
Right.
Right, that's what I listen to. That's the treat, but that's entertainment for me. I love entertainment. So classical music for me is a passion. It's like reading a novel, reading poetry, going to Italy to see the Colosseum.
Right.
Right? It's not entertainment. That's something you absorb.
I actually was there in the Colosseum and seen a classical, like a big thing in some kind of ruin. I forget the name of it, but it was in ruins, and we were just standing there. Wow, it was pretty cool. man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would
it's an
love to-
experience.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
it's more like an investment in yourself
Yes.
as opposed to just what can I take from this, right? I think it's such an interesting analogy. Wow, really great to have you here today. Is there anything I missed? Anything you would like to let the people of Mississauga know?
Like, which 80s pop songs do you listen to?
Oh boy, you know, so I have a mix, and it's random. And just recently,
I'm
in the
gonna
car
throw it at
was-
you. Depeche Mode?
No,
You like
no.
it? Oh.
No, that was just
Okay.
After I moved to Canada in '82.
Okay.
Came back from Argentina in '82, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was still new to that. I mean, one
Yeah.
of the first groups I remember was Platinum Blonde and Duran Duran.
Canadian.
Right.
And
Canadian Platinum Blonde.
awesome.
You know, just sort of random things.
And
That's
do you-
great.
When you're listening to 80s, you're listening to some non-classic. Do you ever go, wow, that's Beethoven, or I can hear this melody? Do you see that music in there, or is it completely a different?
No, I separate the two.
Right.
Also, like I said, I love Latin music.
Right.
So that's something where I can associate between Latin genres.
Right.
You know, everything from pop things like Mark Anthony to Arturo Sandoval and the different styles. But when it's pop for me, it is a treat. I love it, and it's entertainment, and it's just
He's,
it is.
It's
what it
he's
is.
sitting in his car and he's going, "Oh, that was fancy. Oh, way to go!" You know, I love it. But music is music, and it affects everybody in different ways. And I love that you do that. You just pull up to the venue and Duran's going. I love that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Dennis Mastromonaco, our very first maestro. Thank you very much for spending your time with us.
Thank
you. Yes.
Please tune in November 28th to the live stream show. We'll put a link at the bottom of the screen. And thank you again for your passion and what you're
Yes.
bringing to the city.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be right back.
You're watching the Tom and Rick Show.
Welcome back, my friends. This is one of my favorite segments of the show because, one, I love to eat, and two, it is a pleasure to sort of bring attention to restaurants that are struggling so much in this COVID environment. With us today, we have the owners of Huevos Gourmet, Gerardo Renteria and Carlos Casillas.
That's correct.
Hope I got them close. I found out about Huevos Gourmet through Rick, actually, who said, best breakfast burritos in the world. They do eggs Benny, they do crepes, they do fresh squeezed juices. They have been voted the #1 Huevos Rancheros in Toronto, which was where you moved from. So you guys, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting us.
You had a successful restaurant in Toronto, in Etobicoke, I believe. You moved to Port Credit in late February. You set up your new business. All of that time, all of that passion, all that investment. We're going to do this in Port Credit, and then
Pandemic.
the world changes.
The world changed.
Take us through those moments. How did that happen for you guys?
Well, we all the time we are thinking like a very positive. So even though the problems that we have actually, we all the time we just our passion is to cook and serve people to serve food for people, right? So it was kind of like hard, but we were thinking for takeout. I hired a driver to deliver it, and then I hired deliveries company. So that's what we basically
Right.
still here.
And I'm just reading this. My mouth is watering because I love all of these things. Now, one of the things that makes you guys so unique is you make everything in house. Tell us about that, everything from scratch. How do you do it? How do you find the time to do it? And how do you make that make sense?
So basically during the day when I'm working, when I'm cooking, so I take some time to do the preparation, the vegan chorizo, the regular chorizo. I always find
Vegan chorizo?
vegan
Vegan.
chorizo.
Vegan
It's
chorizo.
actually my own recipe.
Wow, beautiful.
So next time you should try it. It's hard for me to cook all the time, but in the same time it's really a pleasure for me because I really enjoy it. So
Right. And one of the things that we've talked about, and Rick's been talking about this a lot, is turning left. In other
Yeah.
words, the east side of Port Credit.
Yeah, we all know about our area down here, west of Huron, Ontario.
That's
right?
where we are, yeah.
So the hashtag Turn Left initiative that Jake, brought forward was great, and that's I knew about this. I knew about this restaurant through a friend of mine, Debbie, and she's like, "You have to go here." And I'm like, "Okay." So getting people to know that side and these awesome restaurants, because this one is really, really good, is one of the things we're trying to do. Is there is other businesses down there.
A lot of people, when they think of Port Credit, they think of the bridge to Huron,
It's
Ontario.
on the road.
And if you can, turn left.
Turn left.
Turn left.
That's
Check
right.
that out.
Mhm.
These
Yeah.
guys are there.
That's right.
I love hearing about this passion you have. Now, when you get voted #1 Huevos Rancheros in Toronto, there's a lot of Huevos Rancheros in Toronto. What is it? What makes yours so great?
Well, basically, it's our traditional breakfast in our city from Guadalajara, Mexico. So what this makes unique is because it's homemade.
Yeah.
Also, the eggs that we use is free range.
Right.
So everything is like organic, homemade, and with a lot of passion.
Beautiful. And
Yeah.
these guys were telling me that your sort of philosophy is Parisian Mexican. How do Paris and Guadalajara meet in food?
About this guy, he loves this culture. He went to George Brown College as a culinary art.
Right.
So he has the chance to know different
styles of food, yeah.
stuff.
Right.
So like he all the time he's obsessed with this culture.
French music, French food, everything.
And
So
how do you put that taste of Paris in?
in that, for example, instead to use female bacon, I put sausage, guacamole on the Venice,
Right.
that kind of stuff. So it was
tasty.
Like we combine, stuff from Paris, like a French art, like a holiday, but never with the spicy stuff, or crepe, like a not traditional crepes.
Right.
Crepe with Mexican
Stuff
condiments.
inside.
I think it's so exciting because much of the way the same with music. You hear a song, it's a good song. But you've heard a song exactly like that 100 times. It's nice to hear new sounds and music.
Yeah, somebody
and,
put this style in there.
Yeah, threw a little bit of something in there.
Yeah.
I think that's so great. Now, obviously, with these new restrictions, there's fewer people going in, but your indoor dining is open.
Our dining is open for 10 people right now,
Right.
and also we have a heated patio in the
Yeah,
back.
yeah, they have a
It's
patio.
like a small patio, but we can sit probably like another 6
Yeah,
people,
I was out
another
the back
8
and it was
people.
heated. It's very nice.
And if someone has never been there before, they're driving along Lakeshore, how do they find you?
Google it. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, like, I pass, if you come from the east,
Yep.
just past Cathra,
Right.
probably like 5 blocks. It's in the south side.
On the south
Yeah,
side.
south side, if you're coming from that way, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Beautiful.
We're
And,
still on the south
and
side.
and the key thing we want people to do is obviously we want people to go to Huevos Gourmet and try this amazing fusion you have and all these beautiful new creations you're making. But if they can't go or maybe they're not comfortable going, you do deliver.
We do.
You have, and they don't have to go through Uber Eats. You have your own delivery.
Well, not now. We have only delivery companies.
Delivery companies. Okay.
Delivery
But
companies.
you're open 8 to 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
8 to 4.
8 to
so,
4.
So I'd have to get up early.
No,
To make
I
it?
get you one.
Okay.
All right.
And gentlemen, wonderful to see you. I love your energy. I love the things you're doing. I hope our audience is going to go to Huevos Gourmet and try some of this great food. And I think I have to order it in like today. No, it's too late. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Burrito
for
with
coming, guys.
margarita.
Okay.
What?
Do you have a license?
Yeah, we
Do you
do.
have a liquor license?
Yeah, we do.
I could have a margarita?
Yeah.
It gets better.
And
Wow.
also mimosa if you want. You just decide
Oh, man.
French style or
I'm pretty
Mexican
sure
style.
margarita is going to be amazing.
This is so, every time there's a new great restaurant, it lifts the whole town. Everything is better.
Yeah.
Appreciate your passion, guys. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
inviting
you,
us.
guys.
Thank you for
And,
having us.
order some takeout from these guys because they're awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back.
Okay, you're watching Tom and Rick show, and from Show Grill.
He cooked a meal last night, smells nice. red wine chicken in a pan. And we're gonna be eating French tonight. Coq au vin, Carson's gonna make it on the Tom Rich Show. Coq au vin, Carson's gonna make it on the Tom Rich Show. Coq au vin, Carson's gonna make it on the Tom Rich Show.
Hey guys, Carson Freeman here. This is Cooking with Carson. And today we're traveling all the way to France. I know we can't really travel nowadays with all these travel restrictions, but there's different places we can go to on a culinary journey. And France is just one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I just had a fantastic time there when my wife and I visited. And I had a delicious meal there that you've probably tried. It's called coq au vin, chicken in wine. And I'm gonna make that today. This is a fantastic dish, especially for those cold evenings where it's kind of getting chilly. And we're gonna make this starting with bacon. So you know it's a good recipe already. We're starting with bacon. I'm gonna put just a little bit of olive oil in my pan, okay? It's been heating on this induction burner. I'm only using a little bit of oil because there's fat in the bacon that's gonna render, and that fat is just filled with flavor. I'm using a little bit of a smoky bacon, okay? So just going around the pot here, turn my heat up just a little bit. And what we do is we want this bacon to get crispy. It's not gonna be super crispy once it boils for a long time because this is basically a stew. What it is we're braising the chicken in a liquid that's mainly wine and chicken broth for a long time. So we're gonna get some texture on here. But being in the liquid, the bacon's not gonna be super crispy, but it is gonna create a nice flavor as it renders the fat, and that's gonna be going into a lot of the different ingredients that come into this pot as well. So what I have, because this is a stew, I have some carrots and celery. I cut them pretty thick, nice big chunks. You can see there in this overhead camera. And because with a soup, I like kind of like bite sizes that'll fit on your spoon. And for a stew, you kind of want kind of more hearty, chunky vegetables. It just feels like you're getting more bang for your buck with a stew sometimes. Okay, here we are. I'm just rendering the fat, starting to get this bacon nice and crispy. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna add in my chicken. My chicken has already been cut up. Usually I use a whole chicken, but this one I'm using just legs and thighs. They're on sale. These are COVID times, so I thought I'll just use these. And a shout out to my friend Deborah McKee. I'm using her stock pot today. I didn't have one this big, so she was so generous to lend that to me. Just getting everything nice and coated. Now we're not cooking the chicken right now, we're just kind of browning it. And one way to do it is just gonna shake this around. Shake it like it just won't listen. Okay. And I'm gonna throw in these bay leaves. We're gonna start building flavors right away. The bay leaves are gonna go in there too. And I can already see we're building a nice fond on the bottom of this pan. Okay, what a fond is, it's kind of that brown bits that stick to the pan. And when we add a liquid, they're released, they give color to the stock, and they're also going to add a little bit of flavor, okay? I'm just taking some time to brown this chicken. I think everybody needs a few chicken recipes in their back pocket. You know, everyone loves chicken who eats meat, and we kind of get stuck in just doing the same thing, like roasting chicken. I hope you're not ordering too much fried chicken, but that's delicious. Chicken sandwiches maybe, but there's just such a versatile food that we want to be able to get a lot of recipes for chicken. So I'm going to mainly brown the skin side of this. And this is going to take a few more minutes, so I'm just going to take a quick pause and I'm going to come back and show you how we're going to put this dish together. Okay guys, I've browned my chicken and the bacon is crispy. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to add in my vegetables. So I have nice chunks of carrot and celery here that I've cut. I'm just gonna cook those in there, turn my heat up a little bit. We're gonna cook those in that beautiful chicken fat and bacon fat. These onions, I'm just gonna kind of chunk them up. I'm not gonna cut them super small, just kind of match the size that I have with the other vegetables. And just do this here. Rotate, get them in there. Now what I did was I roasted some garlic. And when you roast the garlic, you can just squeeze it in here like this, okay? I did just in the oven. And that's gonna break up nice and sticky. You're not even gonna find it in there, just the flavors you'll find. And let's put the onions in. Right into this beautiful stock pot. And start stirring. What we want to do is start picking up the flavors off the bottom of the pot. And the onions are gonna start to break down. The celery and carrots are gonna get nice and translucent. You know what, I think I'm not gonna add any salt, but I'll do a little bit of pepper right over here. A little bit more pepper. No salt because the bacon's salty enough. It needs that flavor. Just a little bit of spice from the pepper. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add an ingredient that you may not use for cooking too much, and that's a little bit of cognac. I don't drink this stuff. I just cook with it. This will take the hair right off my chest. Just a little splash. And it just adds a beautiful depth of flavor. I don't have a lighter, but I could actually ignite that too, and it would just, maybe Les has a lighter. Is Les around? Let's see, yeah. He'll jimmy something up for me. He's our sound guy, but also mad scientist. A lot of the creations you'll see on the set. Very original to the Tom and Rick Show, and we gotta thank our man, Les Weller. This is definitely a Les Weller production. Les, I might have burned all the alcohol off by now, but let's see what happens. Oh, we got a flame. Oh yeah, we got some. Beautiful. What that does, the alcohol will burn off, but with the flame, it just adds a really nice, it won't ignite my spoon, don't worry. It's just burning itself off, it's igniting itself. A lot of people are terrified by this, but this is pretty cool. Literally cooking with fire. Derek Downham, who was one of our guests last week, he said that we should rename this show Arson with Carson. I'm like, yeah, that could stick. But not every recipe is actually a real flame like today. Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just stir this until, and by the way, the flame is a great way to know that you are cooking off the alcohol. And this is, yeah, and you can see, if you can see from the top, I'm just scraping those brown bits off the bottom. And that is, man, like this is smelling just killer. So, for more flavor, I'm gonna add the chicken and bacon back into the pot. My bay leaves came out of there too, and I did that. Marrying all those flavors. Give it a little shake. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish this. You can finish it on the stovetop, low and slow, but this works really, really well in the oven, okay? This is called coq au vin, vin meaning wine, and traditionally we use red wine, okay? So this is about half a bottle of red wine. Good stuff you drink. This here's a Pinot Noir. On top of that, I'm gonna add just about half a liter of homemade chicken stock, okay? Bring this up to a boil. And once again, of course, there's alcohol in that red wine. I want that to burn off too before I put the lid on it, and then just let the oven do all of the work. Okay, so I'm gonna stir this for a little bit longer, let this come up to a boil. I'm gonna put the lid on it, put it in a 350 degree oven for about 45 minutes, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, the coq au vin is cooking in the oven. It's fantastic. I added a couple of things halfway through, some pearl onions, some little white pearl onions. They're going to cook in that. Very traditional in French stews. Those were a pain to peel. I peeled about 20 of these things, but well worth it. And one of the last things we're going to, oh, and I added some sweet green peas. The last thing that we're going to add is some cremini mushrooms. But first off, what I'm going to do is I don't want to just throw them into the stew. I want to give them a little bit of love before I do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil in my pan. Got a new pan on here. And I'm going to just dip my butter into that so that my butter doesn't burn. And then I'm going to put in my cremini mushrooms. Remember, these are the same mushrooms as portobello. They're just baby portobellos. Okay, let's get those in there. We'll give them a bit of love with some, let's do some salt. Yeah, we'll give salt and pepper. The salt's gonna help them break down, release their juices. They're gonna be really dry in the pan, then the pan's gonna seem like it's really wet, but then it's gonna start to, just wanna find my wooden spoon so it's not so loud on the camera. So I'm gonna stir these around, move my heat up a bit, because now that I've added ingredients to the pan, that's where it starts to cool down. These induction burners are great for just kind of heating up really quickly. Now, the mushrooms that I chose, they're kind of like the size of button mushrooms. And button mushrooms, they'd be okay in this dish. They'd really absorb the flavors, but they wouldn't give off much of their own. I find that white mushrooms, they definitely have their purpose, but they don't have a lot of flavor. So they're used kind of for texture and their subtlety. They're kind of like the gateway mushroom, right? So I'm just gonna stir these around. These are a beautiful side dish, by the way, if you wanna just add them to, just put them on the side. I often cook them with some dried herbs, like some thyme or rosemary or an herb mixture. Yeah, these are already getting translucent. And this stage, what it does is it just adds a little bit more character because the stew that we're making is fantastic. It's a beautiful, beautiful classic French dish. And we want to make sure that, you know, coming from the place known for love, we're putting love into our food and we're sharing it with others. And yeah, that's really cheesy what I just said, but, you know, all my food is made with love. Okay, so I'm going to do one more thing. Now, in French cooking, we often will add a roux. A roux is a mixture of fat and flour. And I have a lot of butter in here already, so I'm just going to add a little bit more oil. And what we do is we put that butter and flour together, and it's used as an agent for thickening up our dishes, okay? So let me take this bowl of the mushrooms we're in, and I'm just going to take it off, shake these back in here. A few rogue mushrooms, it's fine. And I add a little bit of flour to the bottom. I'm definitely gonna need some more oil in there. I'm just gonna mix it together. Now, if you go to a different part of the world, French-speaking Nolans, okay? Their stews, like if you're making a gumbo, it starts off with a roux. And some of these French ones, we do it at the end just to use it as a thickening agent, okay? This stew doesn't have any potatoes or beans or pasta that might make your stew a little bit thicker. So what we do is we add this mixture. Now what we usually do is have equal parts flour to fat, okay? Like I said, you can do it with an olive oil. You could do it with the chicken fat. That'd be a great way to do it. Or you could do it with some butter. That's where it's traditionally done, okay? So there, as this kind of cools down, I'm gonna go into the oven and I'm gonna get my coq au vin. That's just fun to say. And I'm gonna bring it right out here so you guys can take a look at it. Say a little prayer. This is live. I don't wanna burn myself. And this pot is really hot, really heavy. Oh, Oh, it's magic. Okay, let's see that. Beautiful, that's just gorgeous. It just smells so fantastic. It's making me happy, making me think of France. Paris, namely. I had so many great dishes when I was there, but the best ones are, of course, the classics or the ones that you just didn't expect, you know? And Deb, once again, thank you for this fantastic pot. Yeah, I can see it thickening up as I go. Oh, and right there, jumping out at me, are the thyme sprigs. Those thyme sprigs, I believe I added them off camera, so I hope you're not too shocked and awed by that. But you can see how the florets have fallen off that. Okay. I'm gonna take out the bay leaf too. And there's one more bay leaf. We'll call him Donovan Bay Leaf. Okay, let's get him out of there. And I'm gonna add the mushrooms and all the juices that they collected. And if you've never had this before, there you have it, coq au vin. This is how it's traditionally served. I have some mashed potatoes, and I'm gonna take one piece of chicken, okay? Then I'm gonna take a mixture of the vegetables. I got some carrots, celery, green peas and onions. You can see that bacon. And then some of the liquid, I'm just gonna. Now, often too, I'm gonna put it on the stovetop and just cook it a little bit more to thicken it up, but this is just fantastic. A traditional French dish that you can try at home called coq au vin, chicken and wine. Guys, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks for watching.
Les!